Welcome to Sportex, where we talk all things relating to the ever evolving business of sport and the people that make things happen in this vibrant industry. I'm Gerard Davids, founder of TalkX TV, where we host Sportex as a content channel. I'm joined today by Sipo Male rather, director at SM Sports Consulting, the organizers of the first ever football performance analysis and technical scouting symposium in South Africa taking place in Gqeberha, Eastern Cape from October 5th to October 6th. Welcome to Sportex, and let's start off by describing to us or give us a background to the symposium, where and when it will happen and how did it come about. Welcome, Sinisipo.
Hi, Mr. Davids. Thanks to you for having me, and also hello to your viewers at home. Yeah, um, firstly, the idea has been it's an idea that has been long, um, uh, you know, in my mind, especially with the with Terra Maliwa that I'm partnering with on this initiative. We've had this idea for a very long time, because so what triggered the idea is simply because I'll tell you this from my side and my experience. Everywhere I go, and every time I do interviews or engagements or in tournaments, whatever, one of the questions that I always get asked: what can I do to be a performance analyst? What can I do to be a qualified scout? It happens all the time. And the reality of the situation is that currently in South Africa, we don't have a clear educational pathway that addresses areas of specialization such as performance analysis, technical scouting, and a whole lot of other specialist fields within the coaching component. And so it's been an idea that has always been there. And the inspiration of doing this first of its kind symposium in South Africa um, originates from that idea being planted on the head based on 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 it being clear that there is a demand and there is a huge interest for people who want to be a specialist within the game of football, and yeah, we spoke about it a few weeks ago. And when we engaged with the Nelson Mandela University, immediately the head of sports, Mr. Mark Chomi, was excited, and there was such a clear alignment in terms of their vision as the university and as Madiba Sports, uh, with the new concept that they have, which they call the Madiba Sports Technical Lab. So there was a clear alignment between the idea we have as SM Sports Consulting and the university itself. And then we took the conversation further and started to make plans to immediately try to have a symposium of this kind to try and really help people out there who have interest of getting as much knowledge and insight around the specialist area of analysis and scouting. And like, I mean, if you look at it general around the country, um, there's good enough courses now, especially now that we are back into the CAF. We're back rolling out the CAF courses, and which I think the technical director, Mr. Walter Stenberg, has done an amazing job. And I know the work that happened behind the scenes to ensure that the course South Africa is back, doing its courses. But nobody talks about where the specialists must go. Nobody talks about where to go and be educated as a performance analyst. Nobody talks about where to go and be educated as a technical scout. So we really saw this as an opportunity to try and share our experiences, share our insights that we have gained over the years at international level with the rest of not just South Africa, but the rest of Africa. Because you'll remember the very first symposium that we hosted in partnership with the Malawi Football Association was in February. So the interest and growth started to grow from there.
Great. Now, given the increasing importance of data and analytics in modern football, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing aspiring analysts and scouts in South Africa in the main, and how will this symposium address these challenges?
Sorry, I missed you for a moment.
Yeah, I'm saying, given the increasing importance of data and analytics and modern day football, what do you believe is the biggest challenge facing aspiring analysts and scouts in South Africa, and how will this symposium address that challenge?
Well, look, I think it's quite clear the direction the game of tomorrow is taking. It's quite clear in terms of if you look around the world, the trends, in terms of how teams are intensively investing in terms of data analysis, not only from an performance analysis perspective, but also from a recruitment perspective. Because clubs are trying to minimize recruitment mistakes as much as possible to move to make subjective decisions in terms of recruitment, but to look to make more objective decisions in terms of recruitment. And what informs that sort of a process, or what helps to move from being subjective to objective, and it is data. I always say this, that football is not a game of opinions; it is a game of facts. And that is why it's always important to always put in consideration data as a key reference point to every aspect that you analyze, be it is from an analysis point or from a scouting perspective. So I think there is there is clear growth in terms of data and demand within football, and what that helps is that it increases teams' tactical unpredictability, if I may call it that way, because
Yeah.
the more you are objective within your analysis process or your scouting process, the more you are able to then have clarity within the way in which the player needs to improve, and the more then the players improve from a scouting point, the value of the player increases. From an analysis point, be it is individual based, or it's a group based or team based. Also, again, there's you can use data as an element to help the players to grow and get better. So this now how this all relates to the symposium is that we are trying to ensure that people in football understand that football is a game of facts and that are not a game of opinions. And we need to try and get more specialists who can actually move from the subjective approach, be it in recruitment or in analysis, but to be more objective within the approach in these respective fields. And that will then eventually minimize the mistakes that football clubs constantly make in terms of recruitment, if they recruit from a subjective perspective and rather understand recruitment a little bit more in depth from an objective perspective.
Good. So, with the symposium itself featuring top experts, what kind of practical insights and skills can attendees expect to gain? And how will this knowledge equip them to make a real impact in the South African football industry pertaining to your subject matter?
Yeah, this is a very good question, excellent question, and very important question. If you look at the profile of the guest speakers that we're going to have addressing various topics, I'll start for an example on the day one of performance analysis, where I'll be facilitating that conversation. We have Coach Mushin Etukral. He's coached in 3 continents. He's coached both the biggest clubs in South Africa. Has got over 11 major titles as a coach, so his vast experience will really assist in terms of being able to prepare the next generation or mentor the next generation, if I may call it that. So his topic, for an example, is focused on the trends that are coming from the Euro 2024 and what are the lessons for Africa and why that is important, because this is somebody who has now worked in Europe at the highest level with the Turkish national team, and also has worked at the highest level in South Africa and other parts of Africa. So he understands the landscape quite well, and I think we can all agree to say that if you want to be the best, you've got to benchmark yourself along with the best in order to ensure that you get to that level. So that's one of the greatest takeaways that are going to be coming from this symposium. And then you look at somebody like Simpiwe Dludlu. Simpiwe Dludlu will also the head coach of the women's under-17 national team,
Yeah.
has recently graduated in the USA in high performance coaching. So again, head topic will be addressing an element of how to integrate high performance. Firstly, how to introduce a high performance environment, and secondly, how to integrate the analysis process into a coaching process. So again, that will be now be talking to the theoretical part of analysis, where in most cases you'll have an analyst like myself presenting information to the players, but how is that information interpreted to be used into technical insight? That's what she's going to be breaking down, and obviously breaking reference from her own experiences. Then you have someone like Sean Bishop. Sean Bishop worked at Sundowns, Mamelodi Sundowns for 12 years, is now currently working in Saudi Arabia. Also very experienced, has worked for the national team in various positions, as a coach, as an analyst, as a scout. So Sean will be sharing some practical experiences in terms of opposition analysis from a women's game perspective as well. And myself also, with all my experience, I've been to 3 AFCONs with under 23, with under 17, with the senior national team, 2 bronze medals with under 23 and the senior national team. I've been to the World Cup last 16 with Banyana Banyana. And I'm proud also to say, always I've represented all the men's national team at all levels, under 17, under 20, under 23 to the senior team. So all these experiences put together, it will not only be focused on the principles and from the theory point, but also giving practical examples from the various experiences we have, be it AFCON, be it the Euros, like Coach Mushin, the World Cup under 17, like Coach Shoti, also the Women's Champions League winner, like Sean. Going into scouting, similar approach, similar profile of speakers. We have Tera Maliwa facilitating that. But with Tera Maliwa facilitating that, having Coach Rulani Mukwena as one of the speakers, I don't think it gets bigger than that. And also having Nene Reis also as one of the speakers. Nene Reis is a Champions League winner with FC Porto in 2004 and with Leicester City in 2016, winning the Premier League. So it's all the practical experiences that they have on their various fields. Now, as much as we will present the theoretical point, the principles of performance analysis and scouting, but we'll have people who are going to now be able to give a clearer reference, an objective reference from practical experience in terms of the best practices from around the world.
Yeah, great. It sounds like a very exciting lineup there, Sinesipo. But now the objective of the symposium is to accelerate the impact of performance analysis and scouting in South Africa. So you've outlined some of the key experts that will be talking there. So what is the one theme that you would say that will be covered in the symposium that should be a deciding decision factor for people to come and attend?
I think for me, it's the key thing is there's actually many in my mind. I'm trying to come up with that one.
Your 30-second elevator pitch. Why must people come to the symposium?
I think more than just the knowledge exchange and the insight that is going to be shared there, and the experiences that are going to be shared there, but it's also to start to create our own community in South Africa for performance analysts and scouts, and stimulate and create a stimulating environment where we really understand the importance of creating this community of scouts, community of analysts in South Africa, and that is going to be done because we're going to have a specific room where it's going to be just for networking, and after the first day, in the evening, there's going to be again a session where we are watching the MTN 8 final. We are hoping it's going to be an evening game where again the delegates will have an opportunity to sit, interact, and network, exchange ideas, exchange experiences, because we've got a nice variety of delegates already confirmed so far.
Yes.
We are already sitting with 36 delegates confirmed. So they are coming from various parts of the country. Others are coming from the northern part of South Africa, the southern part of South Africa, different parts. So this will now create a nice variety of experiences in terms of the landscape of South Africa. So for me, more than the knowledge that's going to be exchanged is the networking element that is critical for me, and creating this community of analysts and scouts so that we can constantly create and be comfortable to have these conversations ongoing, to have these type of sessions ongoing, talking and discussing about the latest trends, talking and discussing our challenges in South African football and the challenges at youth and senior level. And most importantly, is that when we all walk out of there, there will be clarity in terms of what we need to do, either from a grassroots point or to the or the senior point, in terms of what we need to do to close the gap in terms of the technical excellence with the rest of the world. Because, like I said earlier, it's not just experience of people who have worked in South Africa, but it's experience of someone like myself who's been at the World Cup, who's been at three African Cup of Nations, and has worked at the highest level in South Africa, has studied intensively in Europe and has got to understand the best practices. Someone like Coach Mushin, who's worked at the highest level in Europe and in South Africa, who will also share with his experience. Someone like Nene Reis also, the same, and someone like Coach Ulani, a modern young coach who is, in my humble opinion, a role model for all of us aspiring technocrats in South Africa. He's somebody that we can all look up to and be proud. With the achievement he's achieved, with what is achieved by Melody Sundowns, taking them to qualify for the Club World Cup and winning the league in the fashion in which they did. So that there will be massive takeaways for me coming from this symposium.
Thank you. And lastly, and in short, those who would like to attend, ideally, from which level should they come from? PSL, ABC, Mochepe League?
No, not at all. Not at all, Mr. Davids. Anyone who's interested can attend. We are we this is a symposium, so anyone from any level can attend. And one of the key things is that, and I'll use my favorite quote to say, "Let us grow together." You cannot grow in isolation, and you cannot develop in isolation. We all need to move together to grow in order for us to get to a certain level. So anybody from any level can attend. You don't even need to have been a coach or whatever. Anybody who loves football can attend this symposium, because it is not only to educate people who want to be performance analysts and scouts, but it is also important for club owners. We already have the CEO of University of Pretoria as one of the delegates who's going to be attending with all his experience that he has, Mr. Kenny. So I would encourage anybody who's involved in football, because it is not only going to be a technical conversation, but it's also going to be very much a football orientated, football holistic conversation.
Oh, great. Thank you. That was Sipo Male, Director at SM Sports Consulting, the organizers of the first ever football performance analysis and technical scouting symposium, taking place in Geberga, Eastern Cape, from October 5th to 6th. And details are available from SMS Sports Consulting and their social media platforms. Thank you for joining us. That's where we would leave it for now. Until next time.